My locker was broken into on the weekend. What are you going to do about it? I called security. Where were they? How did somebody get into that room? Have you ever had to ask those questions? Thankfully, it doesn't happen very often, but when it does, you have this sense of a loss of security. Hi, I'm Murray Johnson. If you've been following this video series, welcome back. We're glad you joined us again. And if this is your first time, this is a video interview series designed to be everything condo. The question today is about security and the misconceptions. And to help us through that, I'm joined by Quintin Johnstone, president of Samson Shield, Inc., a security company, and Risk Boss, which is a company that does risk assessment. So right. I think this is great. I'm so glad you're here to help us with this.
Thank you.
Quintin, as a property manager and representing those guys and gals, we hear it all the time. Someone stole my bike, my car was broken into, I want to view the video. And then we're told we can't. Why are victims, it seems like, faced with so many roadblocks?
Yeah, and this is the most misunderstood part of condominium living. As a victim, you really shouldn't, first and foremost, get involved in the investigation process. That is part and parcel of the police and part and parcel of the property management firm and any private investigation or security company. That's their role. As a victim, you may be called to provide evidence in the future, and that creates a problem. Secondly, by law, the property manager cannot and by law will not release that information without judicial authorization. And that means like a search warrant or in the case of an emergency situation, for example, a missing child. The laws are clear ever since the Charter of Rights and Freedoms was created back in mid-1980s. There is the Ontario Evidence Act, the Canada Evidence Act, and the Personal Information Protection and Electronic Disclosure Act, which is often referred to as PIPEDA or PIPEDA. Those laws prohibit a property manager from actually releasing that to just anyone. Even police officers who come in and looking for information from a CCTV camera, for example, they cannot get that without judicial authorization.
Well, that's interesting. So it's not just the owners that are being told they don't have access, but the authorities without warrants, in most cases, don't have the right for that.
That's correct.
Okay, that's good to know, because when you're in that situation, you want to know it's not just you. So I can understand, and certainly you've highlighted why the authorities, specifically the police, should have access to that, and of course they're all trained for that, and it doesn't matter the other things they see. That's not what they're looking for. But why would this even happen if we have security in the building or somebody sitting at the desk at the entrance?
So security guards, the role of a security guard really is not to interfere with any investigations. They're there as evidence collectors, fact collectors at the first onset, and to stop people from coming into the building that don't belong there, trespassers, and frankly, just get people in the building to obey the rules of the corporation, the bylaw, the declaration, and any local City of Toronto bylaws, for example, noise bylaw.
Okay, and I guess that we could extrapolate that to any municipality, whether it's Halifax or Vancouver or whatever, follow the local laws. So that makes a lot of sense. I get that. So there's sort of an extension of the governance team then, ensuring that all of that happens. But let's look at a specific issue, and I hear a lot of complaints. So there's a party going on my floor. It's gone past a reasonable hour. Perhaps there's people that are intoxicated. They're flowing into the halls. Maybe we got property damage. Where's the guard in all of this?
The guard can't be ever present at the front desk, and they can't be ever present. Oftentimes, a building only has one security guard. But the guard is not the issue here. The issue is whether the building itself is prepared in advance for these types of parties and emergency situations. So for example, you'll have the property manager and the board will create rules in the building, and they should be part and parcel of a welcome package. For example, every room, every common area room and every unit has an occupancy limit that's imposed by the City of Toronto and other jurisdictions on how many people can be in that room. For example, if you have a guard, for example, is at the desk and have a 700 square foot one bedroom apartment, you may have 20, 30, and 40 people coming and registering as visitors to that party. You have to stop that at a reasonable level in advance, and that's the guard's role. But prior to that, the governance and the procedures in place, to prevent that in the first place, should be there. In particular, there is a big problem in most major cities in Canada on short-term rentals, and every jurisdiction has its own way of dealing with it. In Toronto, for example, we have strict prohibitions against illegal short-term rentals, and a property has to be prepared in advance for that. I want to be clear that the role of the security guard is to observe and report, never to replace police officers.
To observe and report. So when the issue's happening, call down, they put their reports together, and it's the condo rules and so forth that follow up on that. Unless it's damaged, then it's called the police.
Yes, that's correct. And even if it's an overcrowding situation, let's prevent this before something serious really happens.
Resident education. Good point. Quintin, thanks for coming and sharing that with us. You know, that it's so important that people understand the right roles. So hopefully, if you've been in that position and you feel like, what is it that security is really doing, this whole issue today in this discussion helps you understand it a little more. Until next time, I'm Murray Johnson, and this has been your Condo Connection.